The bull is still in charge right now, especially with gold, and there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. We'll talk about what happened with gold, silver, and platinum today as we explore. And platinum is a metal that we're going to want to watch. I might save that as a topic for a different video because it is in a world of its own right now. But nonetheless, gold and silver are shining bright today, especially gold, as it came within cents of being $3,400 an ounce. It got up to $3,399.86 earlier in the day. Right now, it is up $33.55. That's a full 1% increase today to $3,389.49. And silver is up 12 cents right now to $36.40. It did fall in overnight trading. It had a big smackdown. It was an attempt there, and then it recovered. It got down to $35.46. The high today for silver was $36.51. But you know what? If you were awake during those early trading hours and you were on Summit Metals' website, well, you probably could have gotten a pretty good deal for some silver out there. But I think it's always good to look around and see what's out there in terms of precious metal prices and shop around. But check out Summit Metals, because not only do they have competitive pricing, they even more so have increased their service and really bolstered up their website with a lot of new features and opportunities for ways to be able to invest and preserve your wealth with precious metals. So check them out when you get a chance. So what's going on? Well, we saw a lot happening today. There's some economic numbers were posted, but we did see a 1-week peak steered by a simmering Middle East situation and cooler U.S. economic data that fueled fresh bets on Federal Reserve rate cuts. In fact, we'll get into what the Fed Watch tool has for us here in a moment as to where they think that what they're going to do at this meeting coming up next week. Gold is up for the second straight day, largely on heightened geopolitical risk. If gold clears $3,400 again, minor hurdles at $3,417 and $3,431 remain, but a breakout to new all-time highs looks most likely, according to Peter Grant, Vice President and Senior Metals Strategist at Xanier Metals. President Donald Trump said the U.S. was moving personnel out of the Middle East because it could be a dangerous place. Iranian Defense Minister Aziz Nasrallah also said Wednesday that if Iran was subjected to strikes, it would retaliate by hitting U.S. bases in the region. Elsewhere, data showed U.S. producer prices increased less than expected in May. So meanwhile, the number of Americans filing new applications for unemployment benefits was unchanged at higher levels last week as labor market conditions continued to steadily ease. Traders now see an 80% chance of a September Fed rate cut, with a second rate cut as soon as October versus December, as seen before the data. So that's what we're looking further out ahead to see what's happening there. But let's see. Right now, most everyone, about 96 participants, believe that on the June 18th Fed meeting, which is next week, the Federal Reserve will indeed not cut rates, leave them unchanged. Only 3.1 believe that that's going to happen. The next meeting after that is going to be the July 30th meeting, and that one, 75% believe that it is going to leave rates unchanged. And then it's the September meeting where they believe that there's going to be a 58% chance of a quarter point and a 16.5% chance that'll be a half-point rate cut. So we'll see. And then the October and then December meetings. And in a way, it's kind of premature to look at what those numbers are, but it is intriguing to see kind of where the metrics are. And more on that later in another video. But the latest data following Wednesday's cooler than anticipated consumer price index report for May. On the tariff front, Trump said yesterday that he would be willing to extend a July 8th deadline for completing trade talks with countries before higher U.S. trade tariffs take effect, but did not believe that would be necessary. And so we already have a tentative deal with China, which really should cause prices of gold and silver to go down. And it did have an impact on silver briefly, but not before today's news hit. And it's just pretty amazing. And I think likely we may avoid a smackdown tomorrow on Friday. In other words, we may not see prices rise, or we may not see the prices fall for gold or silver. If silver may get hit a little bit, but I think gold's going to stay pretty elevated and very well could breach that $3,400 mark. We'll see how it plays out. Grant has also said that supported by a multi-year supply deficit and renewed technical strength, silver looks poised to hit $40 if it clears 38. So there's one analyst that is pretty bullish on the metal. Now, I've not given my revised prediction yet for silver. Stay tuned for that. Likely we'll be giving that fairly soon. But nonetheless, I am bullish on silver. It has already reached my original price target of $36 per troy ounce. And actually, if you want me to be honest, I didn't think we'd get there this soon. And in fact, I was kind of doubtful we'd get there at all this year, but we've made it. And so far, it's held, save for a few exceptions, including in overnight trading, it has held above $36, which very well could lend support for continuing to rise. But there is some resistance there for silver. Nonetheless, no matter what happens with silver's price, I don't think we're going to see it fall much below 34. And even if it does and gets back to 30, I think 30 is a pretty hard support for silver at this point in time. And there was a time not long ago, if you remember, for those of you who are daily watchers of this channel, which I appreciate each and every one of you who do that, you'll remember when I said $30 silver is a victory. And yes, indeed. And now I said $33 silver is a victory. And here we are at 36 now. So I'm telling you, $30 is still pretty good for silver when you compare it upon itself. But right now, we are seeing gold outperform silver to the upside, which has hereby raised the gold to silver ratio to 93.36. But some feel we're going to see below 90 soon. I really believe that is possible. Even if it goes into 89, 88, that's still a very high gold to silver ratio. And which has caused some to say that $36 is the new $26 for silver. And I can understand that sentiment too, but we got to take every victory we get with silver and learn to buy on the dips and see what happens. I think most people, I don't know of anybody right now that believes that a silver is going to fall back below $30 an ounce. I don't know of anyone. In fact, I've had some silver haters that have been like, oh, there's too much silver supply and silver's is going to crash soon. All those people have just disappeared from my channel now that the prices have gone up. You're always welcome back. I would love to hear your thoughts on silver. What you're thinking now. Usually when people are proven wrong, well, they just disappear and they don't own up. Although one thing that I will do on this channel, if I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you I'm wrong. And very rarely do I make bets. And usually, I don't initiate a bet. Although I did make a bet last year with an individual who has yet to pay up. And but nonetheless, that's disappointing. But that's the second time on this in the life of this channel that I've made a bet and won, and the people backed out of the bet. But one thing is for sure, if I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you I'm wrong. It does a disservice to you if I don't fess up to where I make mistakes in making calls and things like that. Because whenever I make a call for silver, and usually it's just for entertainment purposes, I don't care how professional, how much data insight, how much technical analysis know-how you have. The natural market will always punch you in the face, and that leaves all of your plans outside of the window. And I think to some degree that's kind of what has happened with silver this year. And so it's pretty amazing. And gold really is being propped up by central bank holding and continuing to hold on to gold in their stockpiles. And even though they're not adding quite as much, they still are adding and holding on. And holding on is a very powerful thing in terms of gold and silver. And by the way, too, platinum. This platinum coin, thanks to Stacker Factor on this channel, I got for below spot price at the time. And now it's way below spot price. This is probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, thanks to another community member here. Sitting pretty on this piece, but we don't know how long it's going to last. But again, I'll talk about platinum in another video because it deserves its own video. Because platinum is on fire right now, but gold and silver are doing very well. And I tell you what, with them outperforming inflation this year, it's easy to get caught up in the hype of what silver and gold are. But remember, they are not there to make you money. They should not be seen as money makers, as investments. They should be seen as wealth preservation devices over the long course of time. And so if you're enjoying the benefits of the silver that you've held, and even gold that you bought back when it was doing practically nothing for a long time, well, I think right now you are seeing the benefits of it preserving your wealth, and maybe that's about it right now. And really that is the whole goal, is to be able to have wealth outside of the system. That's what it's about with holding gold and silver, not about making you money, because you get punished with premiums, and you get punished with them on the when you go to sell them as well too. In fact, right now there is a glut of precious metals in many cases in coin shops around the country, which is essentially meant that you're getting less than spot for them, maybe even much less than spot for them. So those are the things you have to take into account here. So there you have it. There's your market report. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.